Good morning, fellow Rotarians and guests.
Good morning.
Our guest is an information and communications technology professional with over 38 years experience with a focus on advising businesses on how best to use information communication technology to meet their business objectives. He is an identical twin, born in the city of Nassau on the island of New Providence. He attended West End All-Age School and Hawksville High School on Grand Bahama in his formative years. He finished his senior year and graduated Miami-Jackson Senior High. He attended Florida Memorial College, now University, having studied biology, mathematics, and computer science. He is a mentor to Bahamian youths in the arena of information communication technology. He is also a community, civic, social, political, environmental, and human rights activist aligned with the Bahamas-based advocacy group Alliance for Change. He is also known across various communications platforms for his commentary with the attached name of Critical Thinker. He is here today in his current capacities as Chief Executive Officer of Sand Dollar Business Solutions and as the Chief Strategy Officer of Sand Dollar Communications, two globally focused Bahamian-owned companies that specializes in all aspects of communications and business development consultancy that includes, but is not limited to, business development and strategic planning, business engineering, advertising, marketing, customer experience management, public relations, and branding. Overall, these companies help people to differentiate their business and seize the enormous growth opportunities that digital makes possible. The company's motto is unlimited potential, immediate results, infinite possibilities. His personal mantra is collaborate, innovate, accelerate. Let's welcome Alan Johnson to the podium.
Thank you, Rotarians. I've been given a task this morning to consolidate 38 plus years of technology information in 15 minutes. So you could bear with me. Now, what I did is I chose a topic today on the concept that we have a lot of conversation that's happening around our community, and I call it the economy and digitization, opportunities, challenges, and threats. And essentially what it is that we hear so many times about things that is happening in our community. If you're watching the news, you see what is going on between Trump, China, you see what is happening with Brexit, you see what is happening in our local community where the conversation is concerning WTO. All of these involves a new concept that has been evolving, that has been coming upon us called digitization. Now, let me define digitization for many of you who may not know, is oftentimes confused with digitalization. Digitization is the process of transitioning or translating analog ideas, processes, concepts, and basically everything you do into a digital process. Digitalization is the use of the utilization and use of those processes in businesses, in health, in whatever it is that you do in sports. You know, there's almost nothing that you don't know today that you don't see digitalization take place. Digitization, not digitalization. We see eventual digitalization. So even in sports, you have technology that is deeply involved in the physics of sports now, physiology. You have the sport medicine. You have all of these various different things. But I want to come back to what is called our economic model, the digitization. Now, we look at what is called opportunities and threats. That's the most important aspect of what it is. So let me quickly define each one of those to you. The challenge. And we define challenge as a call to participate in a competitive situation, to fight or decide who is superior in any particular position. In the process of opportunity is these are defined definition. Opportunities is a time or set of circumstances that make it possible to do something. And the threat is a statement or a situation that has the ability to inflict pain, damage, or create an environment that's non-positive to you in that particular environment. So when we talk about digitization, we talk about our economy. We have to look at our economy. And if any of you listened to the budget debate that happened, the budget communication that happened with Mr. Peter Tanquest in last week, Wednesday, you would see in paying attention to a lot of subtleties concerning some digital process that has happened. We've heard about the tech hub, and that is another process, but in the digitization process as well as the utilization of digitalization. But if you listen to the contribution by the Deputy Prime Minister, the Honorable K. Peter Tanquest, he made some subtle hints at some things that is happening. One of the major things that he spoke about is a process that is happening in our community of digitization, and that is called tourism. You hear about the bed and breakfast. Now, a lot of us, believe it or not, we have these analog processes. You know, when we go to the airport or we go somewhere else, we have a word in the Bahamas we call hackers. That today is called Uber. We had something in the Bahamas where we call the visiting program is people to people. That is now called bed and breakfast. And so we've always had some variation of these things. What we have failed as a country to do is move to the digitization process of these various aspects of our economy. We're beginning to see the same challenges when we start to speak about our banking. We in our country, we have maintained the same banking processes. We've tried to maintain the same analog processes of financial services and the likes. But the world is now moving to fintech, and many of us may not even understand this whole concept of digitization, where we may even see it and utilize it. And one of those is many of us use PayPal or WorldPay, those various processes. You know, for me personally, I've been home for a little over 15 years, and I've done banking in the U.S. I've made deposits in the U.S. right from here, and I've never ever been in the bank. In fact, 15 years before I came here, I stopped going to the bank in the United States. So it's been about 30 years that I've not, except on rare occasion, physically went in the bank before coming home and having to go into the bank. And I had transitioned to the point that I no longer bank in the Bahamas for the last 10 years. It becomes much easier for me to pay the 1% as part of my business expense, and even have my clients pay me digitally using my pay systems, which basically deposit in the bank outside of the Bahamas. And then I use my credit card to pay the various different light, phone, water, whatever this I have to pay, or even other invoices and clients. And so the reason we talk about this is that because the Bahamas is about a dozen years behind. When I came home 15 years ago, we were 8 years behind the digital curve. And as technology has advanced, believe it or not, 15 years later, we are now 12 years behind the digital curve. Now, what's amazing about that is the fact that the Bahamas, when looked at its entire infrastructure, its geopolitical location, the cabling system, and a host of other things, the Bahamas is the most digitally prepared country in the world. In December of last year, The Guardian ran a story from international consultant people that rated us number 2. They haven't told us number 1, because the concept they were looking at just simply the use and penetration, but they did not look at the whole infrastructure as well as the potential for expansion. I maintain we are number 1. Now, what is surprising is this: if you treat Freeport as a country to compete against the other 190, the Bahamas would be number 1, and Freeport would be number 2 in the world for digital preparedness, not digital utilization. There's a difference. You could have all the equipment and tools you want in the world, but if it's not utilized, and it requires what is called development of business of the digital ecosystem, basically to understand exactly what it is that you want to do, why you want to do it, the resources you have, and the potential partners and integration into the global economic model for which you would go into. The government has been working on that for about 2 years now, and previously, the previous administration also made some attempt, not just as public as this government has made for the announcement. I'm disappointed to tell you that we are about, from the government initiated its digitization program, other than spending a lot of money on technology, I'm pretty sure that we probably moved about a month. And the reason for that is that as we slowly crawl, digital is compressing time. And the world is not waiting for us to catch up and decide what we want to do. And one of the biggest errors that we even have in our concept of digitization is that we actually believe companies, the purchasing and utilization of software and services that you buy is the exclusivity of digitization. Digitization is a lot more than simply saying you're going to paperless, that you buy a scanner, an Adobe Acrobat, whatever it is. It's actually putting processes for searching, it's for big data, it's the Internet of Things, it's for integration into everything else. And so we hear government and we hear companies within the Bahamas talk about digital, but it's from a consumer mindset. Let me give you a quick analogy of about 6 different types of people and businesses there in the world. There's the observers. There's the consumers, and believe it or not, with all due respect, I see the BTC guy here. BTC, Alive, and Cable Bahamas are consumer vehicles. They sell other people technology. We have not moved into the space of innovation and disruption yet. What we do is we buy other people's services and we sell them. If you call BTC or Alive or any one of them and ask them what they are, they will not tell you. From the management up, they will not tell you they're a technology company. They'll tell you they're a service company or a sales company of that sort. So what is happening then is that our mistake is that our utilization of this technology makes us technologists. It's not. Now going back to the 6th type of person, you have the observer, and you have what is called the consumer. In fact, then you have the technology deniers, then you have the observers, and then you have the consumers. And you notice what I said, the consumers. These are the next 3 important parts. We are well fitted into one of those technology deniers, observers, or consumers. These are the next important 3, and one of them is more important than the other. The next one is the expert users, and many of us will call some people and say, oh, these people, they can do the word processing, they can do the graphics, they can do the videography, they can do all these different things. Beautiful, the best we have. If you want to have something done, you go and see them. But here's the point. Do you know if I was to walk into the room with an expert user and give him 3 items, they'll confound him. If I was to give him a pliers, a Phillip, and a flathead, and said, now take the machine you're using apart. You know, what? Are you crazy? Or even with a box of parts and put it together. He can't. And it's a very strong process, probability that you can find an expert guy that can do repair. You can find repair guys all around. Ask them to be an expert on computer use. They can. They're simple processes. They can fix phones, they can fix computers, they can fix TVs, and they can even fix vehicles. But they can't necessarily be the expert users. But the most important thing about the digitization and digitalization process is the one person I'm going to tell you. And this is the individuals that we must find among us. You walk into the room, I just named you the 5. You walk into the room and put a blank sheet of paper on the table and a pencil. And then you tell the other person, I need you to design something for me that this guy here can assemble and disassemble. This one can be an expert user. This one can consume it. This one can watch. And the one over there in the corner can deny it. That's the one we have to find. And so what we've been doing in the Bahamas for the last number of years is we've been finding expert users and expert assemblers, asking them to become creative mind. In the digitalization process, it's a disruption. It's a process of displacement. Anytime you hear somebody talk about technology and what it does, it keeps your old system in place and just makes it faster, it's not digitization. Digitization replaces. You know, like we have a government all the time that you could go down to the office and pick up a paper. They say we're digitizing the office, or what you do, what they call digitization sometimes is you can make an application online and you have to come down here to pick up the paper. We call that digitization. You know, digitization is being able to digitally sign and paste a document and have it accepted anywhere it is, and the signature can be unmodified. This has been done in the United States for at least 30 years in other countries. In fact, what we're seeing now in the global workplace is a fight for digitization. Here where we are today. Today, we are in the 2nd digital revolution, the second 25 years. And the first 25 years began in 1992, the digital revolution. We are in the 3rd technological revolution, which is not technology, technological. We see the enhancement of things that we do. We are now also in the 4th social revolution. But these are the most important things. We are now in the globalization 4.0, and then most importantly, the fourth industrial revolution. This is the first time in history that you have all of these things aligned. And chances are not a person even born today would ever experience an alignment of 3 of these, not less 5. And so we are at a time point where we have a unique opportunity of redefining who we are. China and America is fighting for the digital space. They're fighting for the fourth industrial revolution. They're fighting for 5G. They're fighting for technology supremacy. And yet we have within our country, we have even WTO advocates and others that are arguing that we should adopt 19th century concepts. WTO, the Secretary General of WTO said, in questioning in February, he says, the global digitization process caught us by surprise, so we must now go and examine our relevance in the 21st century. That's what the Deputy General of WTO said. The Secretary General of the OECD said, we must now create an environment for which places like the Bahamas must die. That's his quote. He was talking about the process we use of how we hide or keep money. Why? Because in the digitization process, revenue is lost, which comes back to what Peter said. Where Peter reminded me, excuse me for saying it, because we are fraternity brothers and very close friends, so I may sometimes read the title, there's no disrespect meant. But the Honorable Peter Tancred says we're going to begin taxing bed and breakfast. And he's made a statement that it's a wonderful idea because that's what the OECD said. In fact, one more thing, the World Economic Forum, 2,000 individuals of the world's greatest finance minister says, nothing we know today, yesterday exists anymore. In fact, every information decision that's been made today, except in the Bahamas, is made on data. 92% of the data that is used to make decision in the world today is less than 2 years old. In 2002, the first year of what they call net zero was the first year that in 1 year we produced more information in 1 year than the beginning of time. And we've doubled that information in 2 years. In fact, data is the new currency. Any decision you're making without data, you're guessing. Play the lottery instead. And if your business decision is being made without data, I'd recommend $2 on the lottery in Florida or Powerball or Megaball. You have better chances at that. So coming back to what the Deputy Prime Minister said, we're going to tax bed and breakfast. It's a wonderful idea because it's beginning to at least acknowledge that the economy exists, the digital economy. Because these transactions are not occurring in the Bahamas. So the concept now, in his announcement, a lot of people may miss, he says, any transaction, no matter where it happens in the world, if it terminates in the Bahamas, is going to be subject to tax. They have not told us how yet. Their process, and anything that you do here in the Bahamas, any services that you deliver outside of the Bahamas, is not subject to VAT or to business tax. So you have a unique opportunity to create an environment where you can run a business within the Bahamas and deliver your services and products out of the Bahamas and just keep all your money. The problem with that is that those announcements, because we have not created digital laws yet. In fact, the IRCA is now beginning to have an IXP argument. In fact, the reason why you pay so much for internet services is that whenever you send, if I was to send one to an email right now, it goes around the world just to come right back next to her. Because now ISPs have to pay for those services. Whereas in the Bahamas, we're probably the only country in this region that does not have an IXP, an internal internet exchange for which data is traveled between each other without leaving the country. So that we begin to regulate data. We can summon Facebook and Google, the executives, and say, come here, we want to know what you're doing. Right now, we're just sitting in the way, in spite of being the most digitally prepared country in the world. And so the point is that we have to rethink everything. Going back to what Peter says, here's what he says. He says, we have made arrangements with the major bed and breakfast to collect the tax for us. The problem with that is that it doesn't look at the fullness of the picture. It's an action, it's a reaction. The reaction is just something you do. A response requires thought. Here's why. I'm a technologist. Anyone who comes to me with a bed and breakfast, I simply take them off the platform. I deal directly with the people, maybe in the fact that he must now find every real estate agent that rent bed and breakfast and high end around and tell them that you have to collect VAT for us. Rather than creating a digital law, a real digital law, because we have none in the Bahamas. Any lawyer, I tell any lawyer, I make a donation to any charity they choose, if they can show me one digital law in the Bahamas. Not the law you call digital, show me digital application. We have none. And this is the point, is that we have, believe it or not, we have digital immigrants making decisions for digital natives. Some of them, you can look at the three parts. You have some of them are legal, some of them are transition, they got their paperwork, and the rest are born citizens. And so what we have to do is we have to begin to look at the collective intelligence that is necessary for them to embrace our economy. Let's use an example on Grand Bahama. On Grand Bahama, it is said, and this is a study that I've done for a client, we will have no tourism in the Bahamas, in Grand Bahama, until we get 6,500 rooms. That's not a guess, that's data. Because what the 6,500 rooms on the ground says is that we need a certain amount of information to reach net zero. That's without making a profit. Just for us to be in the business so we can pay our expenses and live every day without making a dime profit requires us to have 6,500 rooms. How do we achieve that? Digitization of the economy. Bed and breakfast. 425 room boutique hotels will give us 10,000 rooms. And so it's just a matter for us to rethinking it. And we can very easily fund these and have access. Digitization of our economy also requires you to have capital. I should be able to take a young person, and should they need $100,000, be able to formulate their ideas and put it in such a way and reach into what we call crowdfunding, what we call source funding, all these various different things, where you have individuals who would basically 100 people giving them $1,000 or 200 people giving them $500 to buy into this idea, even a pre-order or something of that sort. They have access to it. No, as a Bahamian, you must give the central bank, I think, 10% of the money before you even start. But as a foreigner, you can just come in and bring the whole amount. But digitization now for people who begin to learn and understand it gives you a unique opportunity, because you can now go to the state of Florida and pay $88 and form a corporation. In fact, my company name is Allen Johnson. Believe it or not, so when you see me using my credit card, this is my company. My company name is Allen Johnson, and I am Allen Johnson. Okay, so when I put out my card and I ask for an ID, I say ID. No one knows it's still one in the company. That's what digitization allows you. But we haven't taught you that. And so here it is that we have this facade in our head because through lack of awareness and lack of education, our people are being put at a disadvantage. Because how many of you knew it was simple as just forming a company, to become a company, to get access to capital for $100? Most people don't. But our leadership is not preparing us. But you have other people around the world that is actually preparing for this type of environment. If I had more time, I could show you how we can finance the whole 10,000 room of bed and breakfast. We got to the 6,500. 6,500 allow you to open your businesses and other people to support service, because bed and breakfast doesn't provide entertainment, doesn't provide tours, doesn't provide vehicle, doesn't provide food beyond the trinket of breakfast. So essentially what happens now is that the 6,500 allows you to create other avenues of support. But again, they will not make any profit. They will live what you call the working poor, or wealthy, but you dare not stop working, not really rich. Because I use an expression when my kids ask me what's the difference between wealth and richness. Rich, I told them Michael Jordan is rich. The guy in the boot that pays him is wealthy. And so what you have to do is that 6,500. And so for us, every time we get above the 6,500, we begin to move into wealth building, what is called generational wealth. And so essentially, how do we get to those 10,000 rooms? To the digitalization of the economy. When we begin to talk about banking, why are we still trying to do banking? The OECD and the rest of them say we will die. They want us to die. The premier places, we should already move to fintech. Fintech is financial technology. Reg tech is digital regulatory technology. And supervisory tech is the seal of the supervision of the system digitally. Do you know that Bahamas is also, of all the countries in the world, I think the only country, if I'm not mistaken, that can provide digital data sovereignty? All these companies around the world, people fighting for their data, with GDPR and all these other things. The Bahamas is the only place in the country, the world, can give digital sovereignty, where you can give a person a digital citizenship. And I said digital sovereignty, I'm talking about constitutionally protected digital sovereignty. Ours is constitutional. Theirs is just law, they struck that. And when you're looking for access to digital, you want my data, constitutional is the highest form of protection there is in law. So for instance, you being charged with fraud, constitutionally, I can limit your information. That constitutionally, the information you use is going to be used specifically for this, other than that, it violates your constitutional right, even in another country. And so what it does, it creates a great environment for us to create an atmosphere for data companies to come in with an IXP and then for having. So, and the beauty of what it is that digitization of our economy can provide 20,000 jobs and a $1 billion GDP impact in less than 18 months. And that's a fact. If those who knows what it is, not those that's beginning to utilize the concept of expert users to theorize and read books and say, this is what I think. You must know from the creative mindset on how to do it. This is also for businesses. Oftentimes we look at our businesses and we say, oh, just do this and do this and that's a form of digitization, but it's not put you in the prime position for digitalization. And that's where you know, even for your customers, you know your customers' age, their who they live with, their interrelationship, the neighborhood, you know everything about them. You know, you just collect data. And believe it or not, just like the universe, all the data that you hear about, you will not see 99% of it. That's for individuals like myself. We deal in dark data. We try to find the black hole in the universe, to find information that you may not see, that you may think is irrelevant, such as your client behavior. In fact, you can even profile your client and see if they can afford you based on their credit scores and other information that's available to them. And so being able to understand this whole information creates a whole new environment. We act as if though we are some major millions of people. Believe it or not, we have a country of 400,000 people. We are technically only 250,000 adults and a workforce of probably 200,000 or less. And yet we talk about the GDP and we talk about the GDP displacement, but about 80% of us don't earn the GDP. If you extrapolate the GDP from what our GDP is, every single person that's working in the Bahamas should be making between $50,000 and $60,000. You know, that's the fantasy. I mean, if you have 4 people in your house, you should have 200,000. It ain't happening. Many of us, we found out in 1973, when we became independent, the GDP of the Bahamas was $560 million. Today, it's $16 billion. We had 200,000 people there, 560,000. 200,000 people, 560 million, sorry. And today, our GDP is now $16 billion. It didn't be double the people, but look where we went from. Let's spread it off, 600 million to 16 billion a year, $3 trillion in trade. But today, we're working longer, getting paid less, and own less of a country. Why? Because we've married analog, antiquated process for the whole time from 1992 to 2017. Here we are in the second digital revolution where information is moving no longer at the speed of technology. We are now in an era where things move at the speed of thought. Yet, we deliberately and talk about antiquated movement techniques. So we need to begin to look at how do we digitize our economy? How do we create an environment that gives a unique opportunity for beginners to move into the global economy? We should have businesses developing where we have individuals selling stuff they don't own to people they don't know for money they don't have. No, nothing apparatus. We can put young people, by changing a little bit of laws right now, we can put young people in business in 1 week, where they go to eBay or Amazon or all these other different platforms and sell their stuff. You could go to Alibaba and find a TV right now for $99. Don't even pick it up. Just make sure Verify is there. Go to eBay, put it on the eBay site for $150. When the person pays it for you, you take out your $50, send $99 to the people, and then mail it directly to the people with your label on it. What are we doing? We're telling people we just want jobs. It's use expression. It stands for just over broke. Just over broke suck us in the just over broke system because we keep doing the same thing, trying to establish a different result. You cannot get new results with old mindsets. And so we must begin to look amongst us. We have spent billions of dollars in education. And in fact, we've spent $1 billion or more in technology, the government. And I ask you, do you look like you have a government that has spent $1 billion over the last years on technology? Because we buy stuff. And we have people who, I mean, you have no understanding of technology, and I'm sitting and I'm a consultant, you tell me for $3 million, the last thing I'm going to do is correct you and tell you it only costs you $100,000. I'm going to sit there and nod my head and give you exactly what you wanted. And it don't work. That's what you wanted. And so this is why you have to have a system to understand that we must develop, and more so for us in Grand Bahama, we must come together as a business community and begin to shape the digital ecosystem that we want and become the example. I said to you, Freeport is the second most digitally prepared country in the world, in spite of only being a city. But I want you to understand, don't understand, I can tell you, Hutchinson Whampoa is where I work. You know, Hutchinson Whampoa is the largest telecommunications company in the world. You know, Hutchinson Whampoa is the largest one of the largest shipping companies in the world. You know, Hutchinson Whampoa is also one of the largest hospitality companies in the world. You know, Hutchinson Whampoa is one of, I mean, everything that this place needs, Hutchinson Whampoa is. You have to ask yourself, why haven't that meld and combined with what we're trying to do? And I say to you, the problem is the pink billing. We have users, maybe some expert users, and in that billing, you may have some technology deniers. And because the technology company is not going to come here and force themselves to do what you need to do. Because they, it's almost like you say, the difference between man and ape is 2%. And it's almost like people come to the town and say, well, these guys, we have 98%, these guys have 96%, we'll treat them like apes. And that's exactly what we've been allowing ourselves to be treated as. Tell us anything, do anything. Just remind me, believe it or not, my 15 years of being home, and it's not a political statement, it's a spark of reality for me. It reminds me of the Algary of the cave. And I don't know if you heard the story, but the story goes that three prisoners were chained in the cave, facing the wall, they couldn't turn around, and every now and then he was walking in the fire from the cave, they see the shadows on the wall, they thought it was reality. And for them, the entire life being born that way into reality, till one day, one of the chain came loose on one of the guys, he went outside and began to saw the world. And after a while, his eyes got adjusted, he began to see the trees and everything was real, not the shadows. He went back into the cave to tell the other two, and he couldn't even see because of the adjustment to the light. And you know what happened when he reached into the cave? They classified him as a madman.
So that being said, how do we go forward?
And so that's what's in the mind. So essentially, is I hope I give you some information on what it is, and this is what the digitization requires. And let's answer your question, how do we go for this? We must come together and understand that the person in the Uber we call government should take directions from where we want to go. We don't get in the taxi and tell them this is where they want to go. We are taking you somewhere. We must tell them where we want to go. And the mere fact that if we are foolish enough to believe that our intellectual capital of 39 individuals and 16 in the Senate lies there, then we are bigger fools than I thought. We must understand that we send them there as servants. We give them authority, we do not surrender power. And we have the ability to come back and begin to create the blueprint in a non-competitive world. And it's a multi-trillion-dollar opportunity. In fact, 20,000 rooms would add well over $6 billion to the Grand Bahama economy within 5 years. How much money is that would make? And so we have all the tools, digitally prepared, geolocation, the world is fighting for us. I haven't even touched the resources that is here. And we have resources. We have something called carbon credits. Again, this is digitization. Here it is that you say you're making things plastic, but do you know the fact that you start using plastic is worth money in the global market? It's called carbon credits, digitization. East Grand Bahama, where they want to put Oban, generates $3 billion worth of carbon credits that we have yet to attack. That's digitization of carbon. When you begin recycling in your house, we say recycling in Freeport, right? Do you know if the Grand Bahama utilities or something begin recycling, they don't have to charge us a dime if they put a proper process in, because recycling allows digital credits that countries like China that produce dirty things would actually pay for credits to offset the damage they're doing. And so it's just time for us to rethink. We must abandon the old. Just say the mindset. The Bible gives the principle must become as a child. What's a child? A child is trusting. I can take my daughter, stand on the street corner and tell her to cross the street. She's gonna look left or right. She trusts me to cross. Second thing, she has a blank slate. I don't have to override what somebody else already taught her. So you must become as a child and enter the kingdom of digitalization. Thank you so much. Any questions?
How do you expect us to move to digitalization with one of the biggest problems I feel we have in the financial institutions?
That's why, because again, we're in this facade that we protect. I hear people talk about foreign exchange, about diminishing the value. The reason you have foreign exchange problem is because of your foreign direct investment. You know what foreign direct investment is? I'll sell a fraction of my business, and they'll take the profits and leave. And then when the next guy comes, I'll sell them a fraction of what's left. And when the next guy came, I'll sell them a fraction of what's left. And when the next guy comes, I'll sell them a fraction of what's left. And then eventually I don't have anything. That's what foreign direct investment is. What we need is foreign direct access. We need access to capital. You ask the question, our laws are archaic. The whole laws of the way foreign direct investment work is because the people we are bringing in, it is trying to limit the amount of money they take out. Here's the problem now. Digitization, the money don't even come here anymore. Atlantis, their bookings are done online. When you stand in Atlantis to do a credit card, it's not processed at any behemoth bank. So this whole concept of foreign exchange is for poor people. They're trying to maintain.
So So,
a circle. But
with
to
that-
answer your question, I'm saying to you,
Yeah.
this whole concept of digitization is accept that we are living a new global reality where, again, the Deputy Prime Minister said, what? You can do business here in the Bahamas, around the world, and keep all your money. Okay, then why won't we, isn't that money, if we bring it into the country, we have to create an environment for the money to come in? And so we're not doing that because, again, if you make $10 million, you try to bring it in, they're going to tell you to put it in the Bahamian dollars, you lose value, you lose everything else. We have to create an environment so that when I go to say, I have 1,000 clients paying $1,000, I have $1 million, give me an opportunity to bring it in and invest it. Other than that, I'm investing in Cayman Islands and Jamaica and other places. And so foreign exchange is a fallacy of an archaic mindset. And so what I'm saying is just a simple thing you ask. Access to capital is changing the laws. And we just have to begin to look at our overall system, purge our thinking, redesign a new system, not to fix it, to replace it. Innovation disrupts, stops, not patches. When we say we're going to digitize the Bahamian currency, I was just amazed that the central bank would actually take that initiative. You mean you're going to do what PayPal has been doing for 25 years? You're going to do what Visa and MasterCard? Is that digital? When you go to pay and you're using Bahamian currency digital? You're going to create another thing? I mean, are you serious? But this is an announcement. Our newspaper carry these as the recent news. Because again, it's like, for those of us who went over the cave, we come back in and they're calling us madmen. Are you kidding? Those shadows on the wall are real. And so, the problem is that if you abandon the concept I just told you, go to sunbiz.org, form a company, in your name, keep the same name. Alan Johnson Incorporated. You just drop the Incorporated. You'll have access to your money in and out of the country. So what does central bank do with that? Nothing. It's a facade. Because it's almost as if though, digitization has released a chain from around your neck, but you're so used to walking away from the pole that you set an artificial line, because when you reach that pole, it choke you. So now you walk everywhere except the line, not knowing the chain has been released. And that's what we're doing. Because you've been conditioned into a habit. Okay? And I tell people, I use an expression when I talk to young people for the last 25 years, I use the expression. People often remain in the dark, not due to lack of light, but a failure to open their eyes. And I ask any of you right now to close your eyes for a moment and ask me, do you still see the bell? Do you still see the light? Do you still think? No, you don't. The question is, while your eyes is closed and you're seeing nothing but darkness, the bell is still here, the light is still here, we are all still here, the food is still here. Your mind is closed. You can't see it. That's the darkness I'm talking about. And so people often remain in the dark, not due to lack of light, but a failure to open their minds. And so we have to begin to open our minds and be not afraid of the light and begin to challenge. It's okay not to know. You know, the challenge is, how do you work so hard to remain ignorant? Ignorant can be cured, you know, but stupidity and idiocracy can't. And there's a difference, you know. The ignorant guy is the guy that don't know. You tell him about it, and you say to him, if you put your hand in that hole, you lose a hand. The ignorant guy is cured. He says, thank you for telling me. The stupid guy doesn't believe it. He sticks his hand in the hole and loses a hand, and he learns. He's a one-handed guy. That's all the stupid guys are one-handed. You know what the idiots are? The guy who puts the other hand in to verify their oath really took the first one.
Okay.
Okay? Thank you so much. But it's a simple, it's not as hard as we think, and all we have to do is have the conversation and allow our minds to first be disrupted before we can disrupt the economy. Thank you once again.